remember that they're changing my voice. I don't want people to shoot each other, okay? I am angry with America. God is angry with America. The people who worship the devil are angry with America. And believe it or not, I make my videos in a way that's a lot more diplomatic. If I had an attractive, suitable helper helping me, because I'd be very comfortable with that type of person, an attractive female that I deem attractive and calming and so on and so forth. And she would do most of the talking, and I would talk when I felt comfortable, and that would allow me to kind of contain myself as I'm being provoked and fumed and covertly drugged. How to prevent mass shootings in America has to do with cultural changes. Has to do with a war on poverty plan that the people themselves take part in and oversee this expenditure of wealth. I think a great idea is to set the stage for us to permanently redistribute about $10 trillion of the 70 trillion plus that is being held with 22.5 millionaires and billionaires in America, to redistribute that wealth permanently, to make it so that there's no more lower class or lower middle class. There's just middle class lifestyles and above. That would do a whole lot. Part of the problem is people don't have hope. Part of the problem is they're stressed out. Part of the problem is how we treat each other. Americans need to take responsibility in regards to how they treat each other. Stop oppressing the poor. Stop oppressing the disabled. Stop oppressing the widow. Stop preying on the shy people. Stop preying on the vulnerable women. We need to wipe out homelessness with a strong war on poverty plan, and we need the people to have a website where they take part in it and see where the money goes, to track every penny and to compare the purchases to private purchases. People should start buying land themselves, build 100 tiny homes on that land, and say it costs you this much to build them with running water and AC, and say we want a program that's going to do the same thing. So we can come in at about $30,000 on average per tiny home, okay, with land purchases considered. If we do this as a nation, especially if we do this as a planet, it will do a lot in regards to God showing mercy to the wicked who refuse to do what is required of them. Okay? And obviously, what is required of them is to have a valid moral order where they serve God. No theater arts, no propaganda, no psychology, etc. And this cannot be done after I'm gone. So you must then ask yourself, what can be done? What can be done is you can treat people more fairly to reduce your eternal punishment. That's the situation. And for those of you who are confused about the situation, it has to do with them running a psyop on me and preventing me from having a suitable helper to reproduce a child. As I separate myself from this situation, I look at me from God's point of view, looking down, so to speak. And I see the most righteous person that ever lived, the most important time in history, and he's being abused, and people aren't rallying to him, and they've kept him from a suitable helper. They're trying to get him to settle. Gays are catfishing him, and so on and so forth. No offense to the gay community, but everybody's faults have to be pointed out here for us to continue. For us to continue in a way that is fair, to live in a way that's fair. Okay? That's what God sees going on here. So, ruling to please God Almighty, first and foremost. I must then say that people can't have a valid divine order after I'm gone. But I can help you work to make it so you reduce your eternal punishment and your offspring's eternal punishment. Because the rebellion is profound. We have to do the Native American justice. We have to do the Chinese and the Japanese and the Africans and the African Americans. We have to do the poor white people who were victimized by the Romans. We have to do everybody who ever tried to do the right thing justice. And I have to administer true justice like it says in Zechariah. True justice. True. The way, the truth, and the life. If you have a viable counter argument, please present it. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to be wrong about this, because the consequences for you all are so extreme. But I'm not wrong about this. And those of you who don't want to rally and obey God through me, which is I'd expect as everyone else on this planet right now, you need to really think hard about how to reduce your eternal punishment and your offspring's eternal punishment. There's a way to do it. In the afterlife, I'll still be the intermediary between God and man. I still will be the advocate, but if you give me nothing to work with, then I must recommend punishment according to the deeds, which has to be recommended anyway, right? I must recommend it that way without me being able to say anything on your behalf. I'm pretty sure you all understand that I'm right in what I'm saying, and that I'm a good guy, and that everything I've ever done was for God Almighty. Every once in a while I made a slight mistake in life, didn't matter. It's like I forgot to tie my shoes. Less than that. Because my heart was always insisting on God's work. I remember being a little kid, and I was trying to rally people to create a universal church where all the churches would be assimilated into one church with a valid moral order. Since I was 11 years old on AOL and on Yahoo, or somewhere around there, 11, 12, something like this. Somewhere around that age. Junior high. Trying to scramble. Certainly high school. During the summer. Coming back from boarding school. When I dropped out of high school. Trying to explain my situation. Trying to explain the problems of the people of the world. Trying to understand why people turn their backs on the starving Nigerians in the Nigerian Civil War. Trying to understand why in all these wars people don't rally effectively to move the most powerful government in the world, and it has been so for quite some time, to do what is precisely just and to be a true moral leader of the planet. This is doable. People could scramble to make a moral planet instead of scramble to pursue selfish ends. But they didn't. And they didn't, and they didn't. Now what? What are you people going to do with the rest of your lives? They say 110 Americans die from gun violence every day. 110 every day. Break it down. How many is that an hour? 4 or 5 an hour? That's a lot of people. Because 4 or 5 an hour is like damn near 1 every 10 minutes. 1 every 12 minutes or something. 1 every 15 minutes. 12, 15 minutes. That's pretty straightforward that we have a huge problem in this country when it comes to cultural values. Do you value morality enough to lead by example, to lead your kids by example?